So in this lesson, we're going to discuss introduction into digital marketing and meta ads fundamentals. We're going to briefly walk through specifically why do we use digital marketing instead of any other types of marketing, such as billboards marketing, print marketing, advertising, the traditional direct mail. Why do we specifically choose to teach you digital marketing using digital channels such as Facebook, Instagram, and Google to sell your art online? Then we'll also differentiate what's the difference between digital paid media versus organic media, and also specifically why do we choose digital paid media instead of digital organic media. And also we'll cover why do we choose specific social media channels such as Facebook, Instagram, and Google rather than the other ones. So, but in this specific module, we'll discuss more on Facebook and Instagram ads. We'll dedicate a whole other few modules on why do we use Google. So let's get started. So we always want to start with looking at, why specifically do we use digital and online channels, right? So what does it happen traditional offline? We build out the 7 touch points and also the marketing funnel. How do we build that offline? So you would typically put your art in, let's say, an art fair, such as the Other Art Fair or Affordable Art Fair, for example, in London, and collectors will just pass by the physical space, or you put your artworks being exhibited in a physical gallery, and people would walk by and see your art. So that's how you first build out the brand awareness offline. And then they may leave their email, they may follow your social media, they may get a brochure from whatever you give out to them at the physical art fair. And then they will start considering your artworks, right? And then the conversion stage would either happen face-to-face or through emails and sales calls, and that helps you close the deal. Maybe they come to visit you in the studio and then pick up the artworks. And then how you build a loyalty is also through, more email marketing, or send them preview invites for them to attend your next exhibition that's offline, and then for them to advocate for your artwork offline. Usually they will bring their collector friends to your previews and then refer you, or they might have friends who go to their dinner party at their apartment. They see a piece of art from you that's really nice, and then their friends might, start reaching out to you to buy an extra artwork. So how does that look like online? So online, we will have ads that's coming from Instagram, Facebook, Google, or other channels, most likely coming from Instagram and Facebook, or people discover you on Instagram through, let's say, a curator repost your artworks, or in an art gallery repost your artwork on their social. That's how the collectors will get to know your brand and know you as an artist. The consideration phase, when they consider whether or not to buy your artwork versus other artists, is they get more ads coming from Instagram, Facebook, and Google. They might sign up to your email list, and they might conduct other types of searches on Google. They might search your name on Google and then see if you have a website and consider your artworks collection catalog on your website. The conversion stage really happens on your website or landing page, or through email, where they contact you and request a studio visit, or even call you if they're remote. So there is a fusion between the offline and digital, but the starting point is really the digital here when it comes to conversion, and contacting you as some of the first touch points. And loyalty is when you run these retargeting ads, so you have their data. We'll discuss a bit more about how that works later. And they send you an email newsletter to keep you updated with their new exhibitions, or new artwork collection launches, or talk to you about their, or follow you on social media, and also share the artworks they've bought on social media to their friends. So this is how the online digital funnel looks like, right? This is just an example of how that looks like. For instance, for Saatchi Art, the funnel, they run these, Google search ads, Facebook, Instagram ads. This is another Google ads. And then they try to get you to subscribe to their email list. This is another Google retargeting ads where there are specific artworks being showcased with the search terms. If people are searching for original abstract painting, then this might show up. And then this is how they build that loyalty and advocacy through their emails and social media. So you might wonder why specifically we choose to go for the digital route rather than the physical route in what we teach. But for instance, this is one key advantage of why use digital channels instead of physical channels. So let's say in a physical art fair, if people leave the affordable art fair, they leave your stand and go to a different artist. They didn't actually leave any email, even though they might be slightly interested in your art. You can't really retarget them if they don't come back, right? If they don't really come back to your stand. But in digital advertising, if someone visits your website or even click on an ad on Instagram or Facebook or show some kind of interest, then you can actually set up retargeting even on the same digital channel, or you can set up multi-channel retargeting. So let's say they search you on Google and then that they click on an ad you were running on Google. You can actually retarget them using the same data on Facebook and Instagram, even though they originally started that search on Google. So you can really use multi-channel retargeting to make sure those website visitors or those people at the physical art fair that they pass by would actually come back to your website and express more interest. Because we did mention, for instance, that it takes at least 7 touch points before someone actually decides to purchase or decides to act upon your call to action. So it might be book an appointment with you to discuss more, request a studio visit. It takes at least 7 touch points before someone know your brand and actually executing that action. Some people might require fewer, such as impulse buyers, but majority of the consumer behavior, it takes at least 7 touch points. So on digital, we can really leverage the power of the digital to get that 7 touch points across and get people to revisit your website. So this is, again, just a graph to explain a bit more about what I just said. The prospect can go to your site and then you can track them, and then you can nudge them to come back using retargeting ads. So again, we want to mention a bit more on, so there are many ways in which you can get those traffic, right, to your website. It could be paid, it could also be organic. So if you heard of things such as SEO and PR proof, these are more or less organic media, even if you pay someone to do it. These are what we would consider as earned media or owned media, and thus it's organic, meaning that you're not paying more on the channel themselves to get that media. So just for instance, owned media, what we mean is that those existing email lists you have from the art fairs, collectors that you already have, social media pages that if you post on Instagram, and then you organically through these reels posts or carousel posts, you get followers coming from there. So these are what we consider owned media, because you're not spending more money to acquire these followers or email lists. You're not actually spending more money. Whereas with earned media, also something such as reviews that posted by your existing customers on Instagram, let's say, Instagram story, you get a journal to write a post about you. So these media coverage and organic posts are considered earned media. And something that we talk quite a lot about is SEO. So it's called search engine optimization. That's also a way of what we call organic media, is because you write articles that respond to certain keywords that people are popularly searching for. But to get to actually page one takes years. So you really need to consistently crunch out content. You need to know what are the keywords that people are searching for and find all these different hacks to make sure your blog posts appear on page one of Google. Because if you appear, let's say, on page 3 and page 4, people rarely actually goes to page 3 and page 4. So how do you write your blog in a certain way that respond to certain keywords that people would discover you on the first page of Google? So that's SEO is organic social media. And paid would be considered, so let's say paid Instagram ads, paid Google ads, where you actually spend money in auctions for people to, for your ads to appear for a certain target audience. Or you pay an influencer on Instagram to advertise your ads. So these would be considered paid. So why specifically, you might ask, we teach you paid media rather than earned or owned / organic social media? So before we go into there is that we want to discuss that the ideal company that's quite mature would be, their channel split would be 50% paid and 50% organic. So this is an example coming from Lower Contemporary, which is a contemporary art gallery based in the UK. You can see that 26.65% traffic is direct. So this could be coming from their owned media because people already know their name, so they're just coming directly to their website. It could also be coming from email, even if it is not recorded here. A lot of direct traffic actually does come from email, but some data cannot really track the emails. Then we see a lot coming from organic social media and referrals. So these could be PR and other blogs that refer to Lower Contemporary. We see organic search at 20%. So these would all be what we consider as organic social media, or organic media. And we see 47% coming from paid search ads. So these are paid media. So the ideal would be 50% paid and 50% organic. For a very mature business such as Saatchi Art that already has a huge customer base of owned media, they already have a huge database of art collectors. So they don't really need to spend that much money on paid ads anymore. So we can see that 93% of their traffic is organic now rather than paid. So as the business matures, there's less reliance on paid media and more reliance on owned and organic social media. We see, for instance, this is another example of a newer art print shop. We see about 80% of the traffic is paid. Some of the direct ones are also as a result of these paid media because people are already brand aware, so they're just coming back through the retargeting ads. So why we choose to teach you paid is organic social media really takes a very long time to build. So SEO sometimes could take 2 years or even up to 5 years to really even just get leads to rank your blog on the first page of Google. So it takes a lot of work of writing blogs, searching the keywords. Same with organic social media such as Instagram, right? A lot of you post a lot but never see any results, or get very few followers who are just other artists but never collectors. Organic social media really takes a very, very long time to build and find that target customer audience. But if you want a business full-time fast, so let's say in 3 months, you want to be able to make a profit of 2K, 5K, very, very fast. Paid media is really the fastest option to acquire customers. We see businesses going from 0 to 6 figures or even 7 figures in a matter of months using paid media, just because it's really fast and really scalable to reach a very wide range of your target audience and be laser focused about your target audience. So that's why we discuss paid media here. We're not saying that organic social media is not important. We're saying that, as we showcased in previous slides, organic social media is important, but more in later stage. If you want to build a business full-time fast, it's wiser to put the efforts and time into what will help you get the customers the fastest. So that's our opinion. What we see on paid social media, for instance, if a product is less than $100, it can take the conversion window, so between the 7 touch points, between the brand awareness and the conversion stage. So when between the person first knows about your brand to actually converting on your website, that could take a matter of a day or between a day to 2 weeks if your product is below 100. Of course, that's on the assumption that your website is high converting, that your ads is working, and your audience, you're targeting the right audience, which we will all teach you in this lesson. And between product that's $200 to $1,000, it takes between 2 weeks to 2 months, because the consideration stage is much longer for a higher price products. If you're between 1K to 5K, it could take between 3 to 6 months. And products that's above 5K, it could take between 3 to 12 months. Of course, that all depends on also how established your business is. If your business is very established and so let's assume Chanel didn't have a digital channel, and on day one, all their products are quite highly priced, and on day one, they decided that they would do a product launch on digital, of course, because they have all that audience and collector base built offline, they can easily get 5K plus products sold in a day or 2 weeks. But that's very exception for something that's a business that's very mature. So we're really talking about a relatively newer business that's just getting started, but also have sold some products and have a track record of product market fit offline. So there are also many digital marketing channels offline, right? So why do we specifically pick certain channels rather than the other ones? So for instance, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, and the list of social media really goes on. So why do we specifically pick specifically Instagram and Facebook to teach you first rather than the other channels? So this comes down to a few reasons. There are more, but we'll briefly mention these 4 reasons first. So Facebook and Instagram first has really powerful interest and behavioral targeting options. You can target people who follow art auction houses, who frequent art fairs such as the Venice Biennale, who go to Frieze Art Fair, who go to the Armory Show, who go to Art Basel, TIFAF. You can target luxury brands, so people who are interested in buying from Prada, Chanel, Balenciaga, and Loro Piana, and all these different luxury brands. You can target people who go to or even interested in London Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, or different fashion weeks around the world. So really the ultra high net worth audience, people who would be at certain locations at certain times because of certain fashion weeks, art fairs, design fairs, but also behavioral targeting. So people who stay at luxury hotels, people who are living in the zip codes at top 5 to 10% rich zip codes in the US. So this is a USA only option, but for certain countries where you know that this is a very wealthy neighborhood, such as, for instance, if you are based in London, you know that Belgravia is where, and Chelsea are where a lot of rich people live, or Richmond. You can specifically put in these zip codes and target those locations there. You can also target by job titles such as entrepreneurs, interior designers. So really, Facebook, Instagram provides really powerful interest in behavioral targeting options. And you can also leverage the AI machine algorithm by Meta to help you find the audience that's most likely to buy your artworks. What we mean by this, we'll discuss later. So how does the Meta AI machine learning algorithm works, right? So for the machine learning, the AI to work, you first need a lot of data to be fed into that algorithm. So let's see what we mean here. So for instance, there are 1.1 million followers of Christie's, right? So let's think about who are likely to follow Christie's on this account. What are their job titles? What are their interests? So they're, for instance, artists, possibly art galleries and art dealers, art marketing assistants, art lawyers, other art collectors, art curators, art journalists, or, if we want to split a bit more niche, what type of art collectors. So Old Masters art collectors, Impressionist art collectors, contemporary art collectors, wine collectors. There could be photography collectors, people who collect dinosaurs, fossils. So really a wide range of group of different types of audience who actually follows Christie's, right? When you target and the followers of Christie's or Phillips or Sotheby's, if you are, let's say, a landscape art artist, you don't really want these art lovers or other artists, maybe art dealers, art curators, art journalists, but you really want landscape art collectors to collect your art, to see your ad and actually click on your ad and then go to your webpage, right? So how do you actually target art collectors in your niche, in this case, if you just target such a wide audience? So how it works is this with the Meta algorithm. So if you target Christie's, there is, let's say, 1.1 million followers worldwide. And if you run an ad to this Christie's audience, the algorithm works like this. It will target only a subset of Christie's followers, which is, let's say, 5,000 people, depending on how much you're spending daily on the ad that targets this audience. We'll discuss a bit more in detail a bit later. But basically, the algorithm will feed your ad to this subset of Christie's followers, which are 5,000 people. Then, among these 5,000 people, Christie's will, Facebook Meta Ads algorithm will decide who among these 5,000 people are most likely to add to cart to your website. So these 5,000 people could include all the different types of niches we discussed, right? But the only people who are interested in adding to cart would be actually art collectors interested in your particular niche, because they've showed that intent of adding to cart or even considering and purchasing your artwork. So this sends a message to Meta that there's something unique about these 50 people who added to cart on your website. And please find similarities among these 50 people who added to cart on your website. Are they most likely to be, a particular art collectors of that niche? What are the similar interests among these 50 people? Maybe they are interested in National Geographic, or they're interested in hiking, or maybe they're interested in spiritual practices or yoga. So you don't really have to worry about what exactly these among these 50 people adding to cart are interested in, because the algorithm does the work for you through their machine learning algorithm. So then, as the ad set and the ads manager get more data, it knows what are some of the commonalities among these 50 people who added to cart, and then they will find a larger subset of audience to target who are similar to the ones who actually added to cart. So basically how the algorithm works is that you feed the algorithm more data. You say you're targeting this audience. It is doing a lot of these optimizing by itself. So as the time evolves, it gets more data, and then it can analyze the results by itself, and then it will modify the targeting audience among, a subset among Christie's followers. So the machine algorithm needs data and time to get these results and see who is most likely to add into cart and purchase, and what do they look like, and what are their behaviors on a day-to-day basis on Instagram, Facebook. So another reason why Meta Ads Manager is really powerful is that it allows us to do A/B testing. So what do we mean by A/B testing? So let's take a real life example. For instance, I make the hypothesis that I feel more energy when I'm a vegetarian. I'm not actually in real life, but let's just say if I want to try out experimenting vegetarianism and whether that brings me more energy. So my A/week 1, I would eat a week without meat. And then week 2, so my B would be this week I will have meat. And then compare these 2 weeks, and which week allows me to have more energy to do stuff. During which week am I more productive? Obviously, there are a lot of variables involved, not including meat, but generally, how do I feel when I don't eat meat, right? So that is what we would consider an A/B experiment. So similarly in art and on the ads manager, I can make a hypothesis such as my art appeals more to interior designers than fashion designer. So you would basically have, let's say, audience 1 would be interior designers, and then audience 2 would be a fashion designer audience. You would feed the same ad creatives and ad copies to the same audience and see which among these audience are most likely to add to cart and actually purchase. So it might give us more insights into whether your art does appeal more to interior designers or fashion designers. And another very powerful reason why we use Facebook and Instagram ads is that it allows us to do retargeting. So retargeting is, as we mentioned before, even when a user visits your website, we still have that data when they leave the website, and we can still retarget this audience. We can see who actually added to cart and initiate checkout. We can retarget those audience with ads to go back to your website. And yeah, the important thing is that people take at least 7 touch points before they actually act. So we want to make sure that we can retarget them to come back to your website and purchase. So Meta Ads has these options. So what we mentioned is you can actually create a custom audience. So based on the data of let's say, who actually, out of everyone who visited my website for the last 30 days, can you make a custom audience of those group, and let's retarget those website visitors who left, and let's retarget those people who subscribe to an email as a lead, or even added to cart or purchase. You can, or for people who've already purchased from you, maybe you want to retarget them for a Black Friday promotion, for instance, to come back and purchase more. So you can build out a custom audience to target with specific ads, which is a really powerful function. We will also attach a list of all of these potential custom audiences you can form a group with, and also build a lookalike audience based on that. So lookalike audience are audiences that looks like the audience who have done a certain action. So this is where the AI algorithm comes in. Is, let's say you have 100 people who added to cart on your website. You can build first a custom audience of people who added to cart, and then you can ask the algorithm to find people who look like those people who actually added to cart for you. So it goes all the way from 0% to 10%, and 1% being 0 to 1% being the people who look most alike the people on that list, or 10% a bit dissimilar, still looks a bit alike, but a bigger group of people with a wider range of interests and things in common. We'll discuss a bit more a bit later, but just to give you an idea of what type of custom audiences you can build here. So you can target people who visit specific websites, web pages. So this is, for instance, you have maybe a landing page on your website that specifically talks about commissions, and if you want to target people who specifically visited that commission page, you can do that with that URL. You can target visitors who spend the most time on your website. You can target those top 5% people who spend the longest on my website, top 10%, 25%. You can target people who added to cart, purchase. These are a bit different in terms of offline activities, usually more relevant for local shops where they have a physical store, and people who engage with, let's say, 3 seconds of your video, 25% of your video, either it's an organic video you posted or an ad video you posted, people who submitted a lead form, people who engage your Facebook page, who engage with your Instagram page, and maybe you have online events or offline events, people who responded going or interested on Facebook and Instagram. We'll discuss a bit more about which audiences to target later, but here's just give you an overview of what type of audiences you can actually target, which is a lot, through their online behavior. But to do that first, we really need to install the Meta Facebook Pixel. Actually, Facebook can actually track how do people interact on your website. We'll discuss a bit more about how to install this piece of code and what that looks like, what you should have a bit later as well.